Hey guys, so before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to let you know, if you haven't heard already, that this week I'm doing a big enrollment for my signature program, the Online Summit program. Now, specifically, I'm looking for no more than 10 hikers who want to get strong and pain-free over the next 12 weeks so they can conquer every adventure. Now, if you want to find out more, just shoot me an email to rowan@summitstrength.com.au with the words "tell me more," and we can have a little bit of a chat and really just see if and how the program might be a good fit for your goals and your situation. So that's rowan@summitstrength.com.au. I'll leave that address in the show notes below. If you are thinking about getting help with your training, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So that's enough about that. Let's get into today's episode. Hey, my name is Rowan Smith and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare and conquer your upcoming hike, trek or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for. Let's get into today's episode. Okay, hello guys. Today we are talking about the case for stretching and why I firmly believe that stretching does have a really solid place in any hiker's training program. And specifically, I'm going to be sharing with you a few real world examples from my hikers who've used stretching and mobility to good advantage on their adventures. Now, the reason I want to talk about this today is because a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a few weeks ago now, I did do a podcast specifically around mobility for hikers. And inside, I did mention that there's almost a never-ending discussion around the benefits of mobility, flexibility, and stretching in the training world. And it goes round and round and round, and in all honesty, it does drive me a bit mental. And I said in the episode, even if there is some debate, I firmly do believe that mobility and stretching has a place in almost every hiker's training program in one way or another. And then I must have cursed fate or something like that, because a couple of weeks from there, lo and behold, I run into a bright spark who really wanted to argue this point. And to follow up that episode, I put together an article around what I said the best stretches for hikers. And I put together this article around a number of stretches that I really do like for my hikers. And I posted up in a public Facebook group. Now, within about 10 seconds, I had a response from a guy saying, nope, stretching is literally just a waste of time. And he linked to this article, which went into a whole bunch of different reasons and cited a huge amount of scientific studies around why stretching isn't all as cracked up to be. And in all honesty, it is very true that stretching and mobility, it's not a magic pill. It's not going to fix all your ailments. It's not the best thing in the world. And it does get a lot of hype, and a lot of people have very strong opinions about stretching, which may not be particularly true. And it is true that it's never something that I would recommend someone work on in isolation. Meaning I would always use it as part of a training program. I'd always recommend strength training. I'd always recommend cardio stuff. I'd always recommend other things. And I would never say just stretch, because it may feel good, but it's probably not going to, in isolation, get you where you need to be. But saying that, even if there is discussion around this, even there's debate around this, that doesn't mean that it cannot be effective if it's used in the right ways. So today, I wanted to share with you a few real world examples of where stretching has specifically helped my hikers. So we're not just talking about generalities here of how it may help here and there, but we're taking real world examples. I'm not going to say the names just so for privacy, but real world examples of hikers that I work with through one of my programs who've specifically used stretching, to help them with their hiking. So if you do happen to run into this opinion from someone around stretching, and you're in two minds like, oh, should I be doing it? Should I not be? And it does get a little bit confusing. Hopefully you can sort of think back to this and be like, you know what? Rowan makes some good points on this. I think I know what I'm talking about. So let's get into it. Now, the first example I want to use is for one of my hikers. She specifically came to me and had some lower back issues or back issues, which was holding her back in her training and in her hiking. And particularly for a sort of heavier pack hiking, she doesn't go crazy heavy because she's aware of what feels good for her. But, she's aware that her back was getting tight and she wanted to see if she could make a bit of change of that. Now, it turned out that her back had some arthritis actually going on in there. So it was a specific thing in the back. It wasn't just general lower back pain, but there was some specific arthritis, which obviously you can't really get rid of. You can improve, but you can't really get rid of. But essentially what she's found is if she does a series of stretches, very, very simple stretches, every single day, she can help reduce some discomfort day to day. She can get through the day happier. And specifically, if she does these on the days where she's got a heavier pack, she can get through that more comfortable. So it's not like the stretching is fixing the issue. It's not like it's changing the issue, but it is 100% making her much more comfortable, much happier, and getting through the hikes more confidently, which, in my eyes, is a big win. So that is a big tick for stretching in this particular situation. Another hiker I worked with where stretching really, really came into action was one of my hikers we were working with for a while around knee pain. So she'd had a couple of knee recos in the past quite a long time ago, and she came to me and saying, look, I want to improve this knee pain so I can get out and do more hikes. And it went really, really, really well. Saw great improvements in strength, this and that. The pain reduced, all of this stuff, getting out on all these hikes, and it was all going well. But it came to a point where it was just a bit stuck, and it wasn't really getting much further. And it was sort of like, yeah, it's almost gone, but it's still pretty much there. And so what we managed to identify with the help of a physio in a local area was that her ankle range of motion, and specifically her dorsiflexion, so her ability of her knee to go past her toe comfortably, was a bit limited. So what we did, we applied daily stretches to help improve this. And so every single day she was doing 1 or 2 stretches to help improve this. Nothing else changed from her program at all. And in a couple of weeks, she'd improved this quite significantly because we had tested the numbers of how far this went. And on line with that, she also saw a pretty significant reduction in the knee pain in that particular time, which is really fantastic. And because there was nothing else which had changed in our training, I'm pretty confident to say that the stretching did play a big part of that in one way or another. So that's another big tick for stretching. Another classic example in regards to stretches is I work with quite a few hikers who struggle with different types of plantar issues. So whether it's plantar fasciitis specifically or something that's sort of similar to that or whatever it may be. But one of the big things in regards to this is a lot of people who've dealt with plantar fasciitis, they'll know and they'll remember this with absolutely terrible memories. But the first thing that happens is when you get out of bed and you step down, all of a sudden you're in pain. And you're like tiptoeing around because your heel's in pain. You've got shooting things. It's like stepping on Lego almost. It's absolutely terrible for the first few minutes of the day. And everyone with plantar fasciitis has gone through this in one way or another, whether it's the start of your day-to-day life, the start of your hikes, it sucks. And so with these guys, what we do is we have a really particular 3-minute stretching routine for these guys' feet. What they do before they get out of bed, and then so they can step out and not be in so much discomfort. And this one little routine of stretching for the feet can make a really significant difference. Some people will see almost complete reductions in that first morning pain. Some people will just see slight reductions. But either way, it's pretty beneficial. Now, again, it's not to say this is fixing the issue. And we've got to do a whole bunch of other things to get on top of these issues with plantar fasciitis or the plantar issues. But the fact that you're getting more comfortable, you're reducing pain, reducing discomfort with a simple action, that's a big win to me again. Another couple examples before I wrap this up is another one is typically, and I'm using this with a couple of hikers at the moment and probably dozens of hikers in the past, is people's lives at some stage always gets crazy. Now, whether there's family drama, whether there's someone illness in the family, whether there's your kids having issues at school or work being trouble or something going on, but people always go through periods where things get crazy in their life and stress skyrockets. And what this does is it sort of impacts so many different areas of your life. You don't sleep, you start getting sick, everything starts going terrible. Training is the last thing in the world they want to do. So what we typically do through the Summit Strength programs is when something like this happens, is we're like, look, realistically, you're probably not going to continue on with your normal training. You're not going to be dedicating all this time to your training. It's just not going to happen during this time. Some people thrive pushing themselves through in stressful periods, and that's fine, but most of us are not particularly like that. So what we often fall back on, it depends on the individual, but one thing we often fall back on is just going into a little stretch routine to wrap up the day for everyone. So it's like a 5 or 6 minute routine, just a few simple stretches, just to help reduce a little bit of stress, help calm the body down, but specifically to help with sleep so you can actually get a better night's sleep. Now again, this isn't going to fix the root issue of your stress. This isn't going to fix anything in the body or anything like that, but it can significantly help with your stress, with your sleep, and just increase that quality of life during these stressful times. And that's something I'm a firm believer in. And then the final example is something, is when a typical issue a lot of people have, if they don't typically get out with a pack a huge amount on the trail, is they'll pull up with a little bit of shoulder pain when they're doing loaded pack walking or when they're doing loaded pack hikes, whether it's at the end of the day, halfway through the day, or whatever it may be. And they get a little bit of discomfort either in their shoulders or the neck or something like that. It can be quite painful, and it's not much fun. And we basically, in those situations, have a little upper body stretching routine, which you get our hikers to go through, just can release some of the muscles that are, putting a bit of tension there, can take a little bit of the pain away in the short term, and can make it feel good. Now, again, it's not going to fix the issue. And we are going to have to focus on other things like strength training, like making sure the pack fits right, like load management and all of that jazz. But in the short term, reducing discomfort and pain, it's very, very effective. So when it comes down to it, I am a firm believer in the benefits of stretching. No, I don't think it's going to fix every issue. No, I don't think it should be used in isolation. But if applied in the right situations, it can be super, super, super beneficial. And really the last thing I want to say on this, and the bottom line when it does come to stretching, if people ever want to argue the point with you or make you feel a little bit doubtful about this, the bottom line is stretching is really, really simple. It's absolutely free. It's not inconvenient at all. And it pretty much has no downsides for almost 99% of the situations. So it's not like you're going online, you're buying these crazy products. It's not like you're drinking detox teas, which may make you sick and make you sit on the toilet. It's not like anything like that. There's no downsides, no negatives to stretching, and a lot of potential benefits for you. So if someone does try to argue the point, I would say ignore them. I'm a fan of stretching, and I think you should be too. So that's enough about stretching. I did have to sort of talk through that because it was riling me up a little bit. I always do use this podcast as a little bit of therapy for myself. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode and you've gotten a little bit out of it and sort of my views around stretching and mobility just to cap things off. Now, to wrap things up, in case you haven't seen already or heard already, this week I am doing a promotion for my signature program, the Online Summit program. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more how about stretching applies into your training, if you want a full-blown program on how to get on top of an ankle pain or get ready for a big trip or whatever it may be, I want to hear from you. Send me an email to rowan@summitstrength.com.au with the words, tell me more. From there, we can have a bit of a chat. Just see, is this going to be right for you? Is this going to be good for your situation? Is this going to be good for what goals you may be aiming for or whatever it may be? And we can figure that out together. So if you are looking for extra help with your training, if you're wanting to get on top of ankle pain that's holding back your hiking, or you just want to lead up into something and upgrade your hiking, whatever it may be, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Shoot me an email to rowan@summitstrength.com.au and we'll go from there. So thank you so much for listening and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.